Over 40. I've lived here all my life. I was raised here. I went to Elizabeth Haddon School, graduated from Haddonfield High School. I ended up marrying a classmate of mine, and when we got married, we knew exactly where we wanted to live. I did go away for college, and I lived in Washington, D.C. for a number of years after college, but when it came time to settle down, we knew where we wanted to be. This is home for both of us. I think the more the saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I think that what I like about Haddonfield are the parts that haven't changed. That sense of community, people knowing their neighbors, participating in churches or volunteer organizations. Those kinds of things have really stayed the same. Even the architecture, or the cobblestone sidewalks, or brick sidewalks, those are the things that I remember from my youth. I can go into a house as an adult and remember my childhood friends who lived in those homes. I like having that kind of connection and history with a place. To me, that seems home. I think that the schools have changed in their structure and in their size and scope, but yet what is taught and the excellence of the school district and the reputation, that has stayed the same. It was a little bit of a road. A few years back, I was hired to be the executive director of First Night Haddonfield, which is Haddonfield's New Year's Eve celebration. And that is organized and run by the Haddonfield Cultural Events Commission, which is a 3-person entity that is endorsed by the Borough of Haddonfield, but it's run independently. So I became their employee, and I started running First Night. And then in doing some additional research on First Night and the number of years First Night had been going on, I've always been had an interest in history. I was doing some other historical research, found out that Elizabeth Haddon Estaw's home was finished in 1713, and so in 2013 we would have a 300th anniversary. So I approached Tish Columby, who was mayor at the time, and she was also a member of the Haddonfield Cultural Events Commission, and I mentioned the significant date to her, and I expressed my interest in getting involved and helping to organize a committee. This was back in 2011. And she agreed that the Haddonfield Cultural Events Commission would be the proper group to go about organizing a Tricentennial celebration. And the next step was that I wrote a letter to all of the major town organizations and invited them to become part of the celebration. This was back in the summer of 2011, and I think that at that point the Tricentennial was a little too far off for any organization to really grab a hold of it. I mean, I think that they got a sense of the timing and put things on their calendar, but yet there wasn't a whole lot of interest in getting involved in organizing. So we then waited a whole year, and in the summer of 2012 got in touch with those same organizations, really sent pretty much the same letter, and said that we were going to start organizing in September of 2013 or of 2012 for the 2013 celebrations. And we had our first organized meeting in September of 2012. And a lot of organizations came to be a part of that, and that really kicked off the whole celebration. And at that time, the Haddonfield Cultural Events Commission made a resolution appointing me the executive director of the Haddonfield Tricentennial Committee. And then we also created subcommittees that were formed and based around the structure of the 200th anniversary celebration in 1913. We modeled a lot of our organization based on the way that they had celebrated and organized. Well, I think we have a lot of things to celebrate. We're an old town, and there have been a lot of significant dates. In fact, in 1682, Haddonfield had our first white settler. His name was Francis Collins, and he lived on the top of the hill at Mountwell. He only lived here for a few years, and then he abandoned the property and he moved. Elizabeth Haddon Estaw and John Estaw were the first settlers to come here and want to create a community. And I think that is really what we're celebrating here in this Haddonfield Tricentennial in 2013. We're celebrating the community that they created. She was legendary for her hospitality, and Quakers from all over would make sure that they stopped and stayed with Elizabeth in their travels. And I think that I think that her spirit and her values really live on in the community that I see and that I'm able to participate in every day. So one of the things that I really liked in my research about the bicentennial was a speech. The speech was given when they presented the tablet marking Elizabeth Haddon's grave. It's close to the wall at the Friends Cemetery. They're not exactly sure where Elizabeth's grave is within the cemetery, so they erected a tablet on a tree that's there right now. And in the speech, the gentleman that gave the speech kind of referred to the bubble. And that was 100 years ago. And he talked about how they could, because of Elizabeth and John really wanted to create this community, they were able to create a place where, now this was 100 years ago, where 200 years later, there were safety and security. And for me, here we are 100 years after that, again, we've got this bubble, safety and security in a modern age. So 100 years from now, I'd like to think that we're still a small town, that with all of the modern opportunities that will come, that there will still be a place where people will know their neighbors and will understand the sacrifices of the generations that came before them, that will understand and respect their humble roots, and will appreciate history.